Hello all, welcome to Ansarkari. Let's start with our second video in the Anthro series that we have started. This series about is about discussion on the syllabus of anthropology as an optional, and this is primarily for those who are wanting to get a clarity on selecting the right optional. Okay, and right optional here does not mean that uh, you know the maximum number of marks, but it means that the best subject suited for you for your own understanding, which will thus help you in getting the highest number of marks, right? And also, once we are done with these sessions on discussion of syllabus, which will help you get a fair idea what the optional of anthropology is, we will also do a small series on previous year questions on the basis of the syllabus, right? So unit 1, unit 2, unit 3, we'll run a small presentation with the type of questions of which are being asked, and you will yourself see and analyze that the questions are fairly direct and they are also repetitive in nature. Okay, so let's start. Before starting, for those of you who've not subscribed, kindly do so because it helps us understand whether we are making the right content or not and whether these videos are useful for you or not. Because at the end of the day, your time is our priority. Okay. Uh, in the first session that we had, I laid complete importance to this part of the official notification and particularly these two paragraphs. This is for GS, the first one. The second one is for optional, and you should go through this once again. For those who are watching this for the first time, just pause the video and go through these two paragraphs so that you get an understanding about what is the mains examination. Okay. The next part in the syllabus is a little technical, and I'll tell you why. You would have heard these terms like cell, DNA structure, protein synthesis, gene, mutation, chromosomes, cell divisions. You would have gone through these terms. And where in your while doing your science through NCRTs and even in newspapers also. For example, the term mutation is so common because of coronavirus. Okay. Similarly, protein synthesis or cells or DNA structures. These are also very regularly they occur in the newspaper because of BT cotton and related developments in the field of genetic engineering, right? So you wouldn't find many questions from this topic, but this is the basis for the technical part that is going to come, which in the previous units also and also in the coming unit. So as I said in the first video also, there is a major overlap in the syllabus that you would find. So once you go through these terms of chromosome, mutation, protein synthesis, genes, DNA, you would not find it difficult to go through the next topics that come. Unit 9, 9.1 when we do Mendel and all those parts, this is the basis for it. Okay. The next unit, that is the unit on principles of prehistoric archaeology. So these topics like relative and absolute dating, you would have come across terms like carbon dating. So to find the relative age of artifacts of basically of organic and both inorganic fossils, what kind of dating methods have to be employed? These dating methods are employed by anthropologists or archaeologists. So what methods to use where is what this unit is all about. This particular subtopic is about. Okay. The second part of the subtopic is these key terms which you have heard: Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic. You would have come across these terms in time scales. Okay, copper bronze is the Harappan age, the Iron Age, right? So these are all relative terms. You would come across these terms while doing unit on primates also, and even in your GS papers also. You will come across these terms. What happened in the Paleolithic age? What is the Paleolithic age? What is the Chalcolithic age? You've seen questions in the prelims about the sites, Chalcolithic sites in India or Neolithic sites in India. So you would anyway go through these topics while doing your GS or in the newspaper. And this over here says it's a broad outline, right? The next unit is probably the most commonest topic that you would have read, which is culture. Okay, you come across this term and you say this term on a very regular basis, probably even once or twice in a day. Okay, and this is what the topic deals with: characteristics of culture. Okay, so while doing biological and socio-cultural anthropology in unit 1.2, 1.3, you would come across this term again and again. Okay, what is culture? What is civilization? Ethnocentrism and cultural relativism. Now, this again, there is a major overlap in this area. Why? Because when we do anthropological theories, these are a part of theories that were given. Okay, now they have given this here also, and in that separately an anthropological theories chapter also, right? Don't you think that there is an overlap? There is a major overlap here, and you again, whatever you read in the theories, you will be able to apply it here, and vice versa. Okay, the next unit is society. So society, both culture and society, they go hand in hand. Okay, so society and culture, what is society, the evolution of society, social institutions. And now I'll show you another major overlap. The social institutions here are these: marriage, family. The next we see is kinship. Again, social group, social stratification, right? Social stratification, you would have heard it on a very regular basis. It in the newspapers, even in our Hindu culture also, there is a major social stratification. Okay, by birth, and you've heard of terms like Brahman, Kshatriya, Shudras. These are all social stratifications. Okay, I'm just laying importance to the fact that these terms are so generic and common that you would have heard them very regularly. You just have to relate to them to understand the depth of it. Okay, the next topic is marriage. So now we have come to unit 2.3. Marriage is a universal institution. So this particular unit, again, it talks about the universality of marriage, the laws of marriage. That means whether you are following endogamy, that means marrying within a group, or exogamy, marrying outside a group. You would have heard of incest taboo. Why don't we marry our siblings? That is incest taboo. Okay, the different types of marriages: monogamy, single partner, or polygamy or polyandry, multiple partners. What is the function of marriage? Why was the institution of marriage created? What kind of regulations are there? Marriage payments with respect to dowry, right? So dowry, this custom of dowry is a very old custom, and you would find similar customs in tribal societies also. But they over there they have different types of marriage payments. So this is what this unit talks about. Okay, that what kind of different marriage payment systems are followed in India also, and in other societies also. Okay, then we have the unit on family. Again, very common term that we use here day in day out. Okay, definition, universality, uh, household. What is a household? What are domestic groups? What are the functions of a family? Why is there a structure of family, in the society? What are different types of families? That means blood relations, then by marriage, by residence. Okay, the impact of urbanization and industrialization and feminist movements on family. Okay, so there are certain impacts that urbanization and industrialization has had on the structure of family. For example, you find more of nuclear families rather than joint families, even in India also, right? So this is again a very generic topic, but while going through the material also, you will find that it is in depth, but it is very interesting to understand what things that we already know, right? The next topic is on kinship. So that's what we discussed when we were going through social institutions over here. Marriage, family, then kinship. The next unit is kinship, that is unit 2.5, right? Consensuous and affinal relationships, right? One are by marriage, one are by blood, okay? Then types of descent, forms of descent groups, kinship terminologies, okay, descriptive and classificatory. Now, again, there is a major overlap here, and I'll tell you why. While going through the anthropological theories, you will come across these terms like descriptive and classificatory kinship terminologies. Different research thinkers, different anthropologists gave their own theories about what were descriptive kinship, what is descriptive kinship, and what is classificatory terms for kinship, right? So there's again an overlap. Then what is descent, okay, complementary filiation, descent and alliance. You might be finding them a little technical, but once you go through them, again you will be in a you will find them very easy to understand. The next topic is economic organizations. Okay, so if you think about it, when we have read about culture and society, okay, so looking at this, I'll just go back. The first unit that we did was on culture, okay. The next unit we did was society, and then we did the institutions in society, which is marriage and family, right? When we were done with marriage, when we were done about by with knowing about family, the next thing we came across was kinship. And further, when we go into the structure in society, the next aspect to is it is the economic organizations, right? What kind of work economic organizations basically refer to, what kind of work that we are doing. So the meaning, scope, relevance that it has in economic anthropology, the type of work that we do, it directly relates to the kind of societal structure that we have. For example, you would find a different kind of structure in hunting and gathering societies, in pastoral tribes, and a different kind of structure in contemporary Western societies or even in urban centers, right? Why is this? This is because that we are industrialized, right? We have a different working pattern, but there's a different working pattern in those tribes, right? So that is the relevance that that these economic organizations have in economic anthropology, right? Again, you will find an overlap. Why? Because formalist and substantivist debate. By just reading these terms, you will be able to understand that this has something to do with the theories. So this will again be replicated in the theories chapter. Okay, principles for governing the production. What kind of production are we having? Are we just subsistence production? Are we doing subsistence production, or are we producing on mass level? Right? Distribution and exchange. What kind of distribution pattern do we have? What kind of exchange do we follow? That means that reciprocity or redistribution, these are all technical terms, but once you just even read through them, you will understand that they're very basic, and you actually follow these practices on a very daily basis among your own peer group, among your friends, among your relatives, okay. See, they have this term hunting and gathering society, fishing, pastoralism, horticulture, agriculture, globalization, indigenous economic systems. So, what I'm trying to say is that once you go through this economic organization, this is actually the next step in the society, right? When you understood culture, then you went to understand society and the different institutions, then the relevance of these economic organizations, right? So, with this, I would like to stop because I do not want to burden you with a lot of syllabus and technical terms. But I hope that you got a clarity about what the syllabus is, right? Do remember to like and share these videos if you're finding them useful for anthropology. and we'll very soon come up with our third video, where we'll try to finish the whole remaining paper one, and then go with paper two, and then, as I said, we'll focus on the questions. Okay, thank you so much.